Okay, so we need to create a return. We have a part that the technicians didn't need, or it was the wrong part, or for some reason we need to send that part back. So what you do is you go to the returns tab, and from the drop down you select add a return, and that will take you to the screen we're on now, which is search for detailed invoice. So there's several different ways that you can search to find the original invoice to create that return. And it depends on how much data that you happen to have to use for that search. So let's say that all you have is the supplier. So what you would do is type the supplier into the search bar, and then you would, from the drop down, select that supplier. So basically right now we're searching by supplier name only. So we go down here and we hit find, and what that does is that pulls up everything that we've ever purchased from that supplier. And I'll scroll for a little bit, but I'm not going to keep going because there's obviously a lot of purchases from that supplier. So basically that's not going to be your best method of searching. So you can do this. You can put the supplier in there, select them from the drop down, and now we're going to use a date range. Now we're pretty certain that it's happened within the last couple days. So we're going to go from February 1st through February 4th. So now we're searching about 4 days worth of information from the supplier. So now we're going to hit find, and it's going to pull up every invoice from that supplier for the last 4 days. And then to further investigate the part number, you would have to manually go in and edit each invoice and look for the part number and see if that's the invoice you're looking for. Alright, now let's find another method that we can use that might be easier yet, because we're going to search by the invoice number. So now we're going to type in the supplier's invoice number, and that's the only criteria we're going to search under. Okay, so now it's pulled up the invoice using the supplier's invoice number, and now we can go in and hit the edit tab, and we can go over here to the return tab, check that box, and then we can hit next, and it's going to populate all the information pertaining to that invoice. So now we've created a return. If we have any special notes, we can put them in here. So the part was defective out of the box. So we're actually going to select defective as the reason for the return. And then we're going to hit the print button. And that's going to take us to a screen where we can print the return. And typically you would print two, one for you and one for the driver that picks the part up. And then obviously you hit the print button, you print those off, and you're good to go. Okay, so we found that invoice, we created the return, but we still have other other methods of searching. So we could search by, we've searched by invoice number and actually found it and took care of it. So now we're gonna, let's say all we have is a dollar value. We can search by dollar value. So the total invoice was $272.92. So now the program is going to find all invoices that are in the $272 range. Alright, so within the program, we've got 272.84, 84, 17, 96, 12. Oh, here's one that matches, 272.92. So at that point, here we are, we found it by the actual total invoice. Alright, so another way that we can search is by PO number. So let's put the PO number in there. We hit the find button, and it looks like there were three parts invoices with that PO number being used, but we know that the one in question is the 272.92. So there we are, we're able to find it through the PO number. Now, let's say that all you have is the part number. So you can type the part number in there. Now we're going to search by part number. And there we are. It brings it up again. This time it brings it up by part number. And again, you can go in, hit the edit button, and we've already created a return. You notice how that's went away. So we no longer have an option to create a return for this because we've already created a return. So we've shown you all the possible ways to search for a part and create a return. So it's actually pretty simple. And this part of the program is not only good for that, but you know, you could put a part number in there and see how many times you've ever purchased that part. So to give you a breakdown, let me just do an example of that. Let's go ahead and put a part number in there of H177. Alright, so again, we're searching by part number only. So since this program's been in use, H177 has been purchased. We purchased one on 10/14/2020, 10/3/2022, and February 2nd, 2023. So we've got a history of this part number. So now let's just go ahead and edit one of these. Let's edit this one since the amount's a little different. So it looks like we ordered two different types on that particular invoice, an H176 and there's the H177. So basically it's showing us exactly how many times we've ever purchased fuel line hose. So a nice little tool for you, actually. to where you can go back and you can see how many times you've purchased that fuel line, and you can even see if there's been an increase in price. So this is 2020. The latest one we purchased was 2023. It was $46.25. I'm curious. Let's go back into this, and we'll see that. Okay, we're not going to see what we want to see because the data entry person actually put in quantity 25, which was a 25-foot roll of the hose at $1.61 for each foot. So I'm going to take 161 times 25, and okay, in 2 years that roll of fuel line has went up over $6. So right there's a little bit of a tool to see that yes, we've had a price increase over the last 2 years of over $6 on 25-foot fuel line hose. I hope this informational video has been helpful to you. Remember, you can always click on the question marks, and there's a drop down with written information as to what you should do on each line item on each page.